Hello there everyone and welcome to Legendary Champions. Today we're looking at another hero from the Marvel Champions series, and that's Captain Marvel. So let's go ahead and jump in. Alright, starting with the alter ego side, we have Carol Danvers. She has 4 recovery. Her ability is Commander. Action, choose a player to draw 1 card, limit once per round. She has a hand size of 6 and 12 hit points. So this is a pretty good ability. Carol's got great recovery at 4. Typically as the hit points get higher, the recovery gets higher. So her and Black Panther, I believe, have 4 recovery. They're the only ones in the core set that have that. And the 12 hit points is pretty good. It's the second best printed HP in the core set. And then she has the standard alter ego hand size of 6. The ability is really good. I especially like that you can pass it on to another player if they need help. And eliminate once per round, that's pretty standard. Wouldn't want that to be pretty overpowered if you can do it any more than that. Let's go ahead and flip her over and check out her hero side. That's Captain Marvel. Captain Marvel's got pretty good stats here. We have 2 thwart, 2 attack, and 1 defense. Her ability is rechannel. Action, spend an energy resource and heal 1 damage from Captain Marvel. Draw 1 card, limit once per round. She has a hand size of 5 and 12 hit points, of course. So has the standard hero hand size of 5. And then the stats, pretty good, a little above average, I think. The 2 thwart is always helpful. And then 2 attack is pretty standard. The 1 defense is pretty low, but she has something to help supplement that. The ability just goes along with her other ability, just makes it that much better. And really pushes this sort of draw a card mechanic in her set here. But spending a resource, you also get the healing of damage to draw a card. Now, and I've seen this run around. It's a question: if you can't heal the damage, can you draw a card? So the answer for that seems to be that no, you can't. If you cannot heal the damage, that's the first part. Then you can't draw the card. So that's one maybe downside to that, but typically that's going to be pretty rare. And if you are sitting at 12 hit points, maybe you don't need to draw a card. So let's go ahead and we'll place this up here. Take a look at our next card. And this is Captain Marvel's ally. We have Spider-Woman, Jessica Drew. She costs 3. Her stats are 2 thwart and 2 attack, and 2 hit points. Her ability is response after Spider-Woman enters play, confuse the villain. Also, you'll see she has the wild resource. I really like this card. I think it's pretty helpful. Supplements Captain Marvel pretty well. Although she's got great thwarting all around. So I wouldn't say she needs a ton more. But confusing the villain is always helpful to keep them busy. Anything you do to keep them busy, whether it's confusing them or stunning them, it always buys you time in the game. The 2 thwart and 2 attack are really good. 2 hit points is low, so you may have trouble keeping her out there. But the 3 cost is high, but being able to confuse the villain is a pretty good ability, so it seems worth the cost for that. The wild resource is also nice, so if you don't need Spider-Woman, you can definitely take advantage of that. Okay, next we have 3 copies of Crisis Interdiction. This is a 2-cost event. Hero action, thwart, remove 2 threat from a scheme. Then, if you have the aerial trait, remove 2 threat from a different scheme. This is an excellent card. I love the fact that there's 3 copies in it, in her set. It's great threat removal. She already has good threat removal, but it's just that much more. And it's pretty easy to give her the aerial trait. So so getting that bonus of the extra 2 threat is good. But even in a pinch, 2 cost for removing 2 threat is a very good ability, and she's got plenty in her deck, so you're going to see that card quite a bit. Alright, up next we have 3 copies of Photonic Blast. This is Captain Marvel's kind of mid-level attack card. It's a 3 cost event, and its ability is hero action, attack, deal 5 damage to an enemy. If you paid for this card using an energy resource, draw 1 card. So we can see we got the draw card mechanic in there. It's a bonus. But any extra draw card, especially when there's so much drawing in her deck, just helps you move and get stuff out, do that much more during your game. The 5 damage is decent. 5 damage for 3 is not great, so you want to try to be able to get that extra draw card with that energy resource, just so you're getting the most bang for your buck, because 3 for 5 is not the best, and there's really no kind of extra bonus to it besides the draw card. When you have people like Spider-Man, who of course have the swinging web kick, he can do 8 damage for 3. It just seems like you're missing the chance to do a little bit more. So we have 3 copies of those. All right, next we'll take a look at energy absorption. So not every hero has cards like this, but energy absorption, just resource cards like specific to their kit. So pretty simple. She's got 2 copies. What's unique about hers, of course, is you'll see she has 3 energy resources here, which in the core set, I believe, yeah, she's the only one with anything like that. So this is a very powerful card to have. Really helps you get stuff out there quickly, pay for some cards, pay for a couple big cards, possibly in one turn. All right, next we have a support Alpha Flight Station. It's a 1 cost. Action, exhaust Alpha Flight Station. Choose and discard 1 card from your hand. Draw 1 card. Draw 2 cards instead if you are Carol Danvers. So this is a very helpful card to have. I like that even though it's a support, it can be used for either alter ego or hero. There are several supports you'll see that are exclusive to the alter ego side. So having the option is great. Discarding 1 card to get another card, pretty much always a good option. It's pretty much always something you can get rid of to take a chance on getting something else. Even if you only get a resource to replace that card, it's pretty much never a bad thing. And then obviously if you get the bonus when you're alter ego, it's just that much better of a card. So great, really helps her drawing mechanic even just that much more. Next we have Captain Marvel's helmet. It's a 2 cost upgrade, and its ability is Captain Marvel gets +1 defense or +2 defense instead if you have the aerial trait. This is a decent card. It really helps take Captain Marvel's low defense at 1 and able to jump it up to a 2 or a 3, makes it viable. 1 is pretty much useless. I don't love it because while it's easy to get the aerial trait and get the extra defense bumped up, it's pretty much just kind of a fail-safe. I myself, I don't like to use the defense ability that much, just because it, unless you've got a way to get around it like with Iron Man or Captain America, then you're pretty much stuck for the next turn, and that just seems so limiting. Obviously, there are times you need it just to stay alive in the game, but I just don't find myself using it enough to really get a lot out of it. All right, then we have 2 copies of this Cosmic Flight. It's a 2-cost upgrade, and Captain Marvel gains the aerial trait. And then the ability Hero Interrupt Defense. When Captain Marvel would take damage, discard Cosmic Flight, prevent 3 of that damage. I really like it when they're giving an aerial trait to a hero, and it just automatically gives them that trait. Iron Man, for example, you put the rocket boots on him, but you have to activate them before he has the aerial trait, so you kind of have to do that every turn. With Captain Marvel, and I think with Thor too, they both just automatically get it if they have the upgrade on. So that part I definitely like. And of course that's going to help you with things like Crisis Interdiction. The ability is okay. It's kind of situational, of course. It's nice to have out there to give you the aerial trait. That's mostly what I would keep it for. If you really need to use it, the interrupt ability to prevent 3 damage, you can do that, and it's fairly thematic with the character being able to take a lot of damage. Alright, and her last 2 cards. We have Energy Channel. It's a 0-cost upgrade. Max 1 per player. Action, spend X energy resources, put X energy counters here. Hero action, attack, discard Energy Channel, deal 2 damage to an enemy to a maximum of 10 for each damage counter here. I really like this card. It's one of my favorites for sure. Really thematically shows Captain Marvel's ability. It is limited to 1 per player. I don't love that. But the fact that you can just throw it out without having to pay for it and then just start building it up. Yes, you're sort of paying for the damage you're producing over time, but it doesn't have to stay in your hands, so it's not eating up. You're not having to save those resources. You can build it up over time and unleash the attack when you really need it. So I love that card, definitely one of my favorites of hers. All right. So that is Captain Marvel's kit. Overall, a very good hero. Lots of fun to play. I love her drawing mechanic. It makes her feel powerful in this game because she always has things out there. She's always able to pay for things, which just makes her feel like you can do more. Her strengths are definitely the card draw, but actually threat control I find to be a strength of hers as well. She's already got the 2 threat on her hero card. She has Spider-Woman, who can do 2 thwart as well. And then Spider-Woman can also confuse the villain, slowing down their scheming on the main scheme. She's got several copies of Crisis Interdiction, which can take a good amount of threat off. All these things, just great ways to just get out there and just shut down the villain's scheming, so you're pretty much always covered no matter what you need. And of course with the card draw, you pretty much you have the options and abilities to kind of cover several different bases. I had to pick a most valuable card. It's tough. It's definitely between energy absorption and energy channel for me, but I think I got to go with energy absorption. Just because it doesn't really have a downside to it. You have the 3 energy sources. Obviously, those 2 go great together because you can easily throw down a lot of that damage onto energy channel really quick. But you can also use the absorption for other things. I know Hulk coming up has a card like this, but up until now, Carol's the only one that can pay for, like 3 cost guard with 1 card. So it's really cool. I really find it to be useful no matter what you're doing. Even if you don't have energy channel out, you can pay for something really big really easily with that. So I find it's just really, it's just versatile. The weakest card for me in this set is Captain Marvel's helmet. Again, it's not a bad card. I don't find that she has any really bad cards. That one is just too situational. Throwing the defense on is just a failsafe. I might use it once every few games. It's just there to kind of make you feel safer. To me, I just don't find it being super helpful. It's somewhat thematic maybe, but it's just not particularly fun to use if you don't use it that often. Next, we're going to take a look at her Obligation and Nemesis set. Okay, for her Obligation, she has Family Emergency. I think that's pretty thematic. Give to the Carol Danvers player. You may flip to Alter Ego form and choose. Exhaust Carol Danvers. Remove Family Emergency from the game. So that's the pretty standard for the Alter Ego side. And then the other option is you are stunned. This card gains Surge. Discard this Obligation. We'll see this in her Nemesis set. I don't know if it's terribly thematic, the Surge, but being stunned and Surge, if Carol has a weakness, then I would say that it's that she can't deal with a ton of things at once. She's got the threat control, but if she has a bunch of minions out, she doesn't have a way to hit several things at once. Like, she doesn't have any abilities that allow you to target several enemies at once. So she can only kind of hit one thing big at a time. So that would be her limit if she has one. All right, let's take a look at her Nemesis here is Jan Rog. He has 2 scheme, 3 attack, and 5 hit points. His ability is Forced Response. After Jan Rog attacks, place 1 threat on the Psyche Magnetron, which is his side scheme that he comes into play with. So the 2 scheme and 3 attack are maybe slightly above average, along with the 5 hit points. He still could easily be dispatched before he really sticks around and causes you a lot of problem. The longer he sticks around, the harder he's going to be. But you can see with things like Psionic Blast, you could easily, even that's her mid-level card, you could take him out in 1 attack. Or, like a few counters on Energy Channel would do that as well. So he's pretty easy to get rid of. Not too difficult. And then we have his side scheme, the Psyche Magnetron. When revealed, place an additional 1 threat per player here. Starts with 3, and then it's going to add an extra encounter card during the villain turn. So this one also pretty easy to get rid of. That's only 4 threat that you're trying to take off of there when it first comes out. Usually you can find a way to swing that during your turn. Then we have the Treachery, 2 copies of Kree Manipulator. This has Surge. And then when revealed, place 1 threat on the main scheme. If it's a boost, if the villain is making an undefended attack, place 1 threat on the main scheme. So both of those obviously adding some extra threat for you. But again, the Surge, I think the Surge is the worst part, because if she's compounded with too many things, that's when it gets difficult for Captain Marvel, because she can really only focus on 1 or 2 things well at a time. So 2 copies of that. And then Jan Rog's Treason. Another Treachery card. When revealed, discard each energy resource from your hand. If you discarded no cards this way, this card gains Surge. So if you get hit with the wrong time with that, you could lose some good cards you're saving up. Most of the time, though, you'll probably use be able to use the ones that you want to and get them out of your hand, but you can't always control what you draw at the end of your turn. So, but again, he says Surge as well, so you see that kind of idea of her getting too much to handle. So that's Captain Marvel. I'm going to start trying to give you guys a trivia question. So I don't think this one's too difficult, but in the comics, Captain Marvel has her powers stolen by an X-Men villain turned hero. So who is that X-Men villain turned hero that stole Captain Marvel's powers? All right, thanks for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed taking a look at Captain Marvel, and I'll see you guys next time. Stay legendary, champions.